Hi everyone, this is Graham Strang's Roots and Roots. I am Graham Strang. Fair warning to those of you who've clicked on this video and read the title, which asks the fairly simple question of, if you're a songwriter, exactly how much can you be influenced by a song before it crosses that line into illegal plagiarism? If you've read that question and expected me to give you a clear and concise answer on the subject, you are gonna be mistaken, because frankly, I don't know if anybody has a clear and concise answer to that question. The legal precedents surrounding copyright law in music is, well, a blurred line to say the least, pun only slightly intended. A friend of mine recently asked me, you're a songwriter, when do you know that you've written an original song and you haven't just ripped something off? And man, I had to think about that one, because the real answer to that is I don't know. I've written several different songs using some tried and true chord progressions. Some chord progressions that I'm particularly proud of, that I think I've done something new with, but I also have two songs that use this chord progression. You ever seen that Axis of Awesome video? 4-chord song? I'll put a link in the description of that video if you haven't seen it already. It was a big viral hit. It talks about how so many pop songs use that exact same 1-5-6-4 chord progression. I always promised myself I would never use it, but then eventually I did. Twice. Whatever. But that brings me to the second rule that I was always taught, was the 4-note rule, which is you can borrow up to 4 notes in a row from a melody of another song and be legally in the clear. But the second you do that 5th note in a row, now you're breaking the law and are guilty of copyright infringement. But by that logic, without breaking either of those rules, I could just say, hey guys, here's a new song I wrote. I'm not going to get sued. This is a totally original composition. And the chorus goes like this. Na 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 na. Technically, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next note is different. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still not illegal. I don't know. I already forget what I just played. But technically, at no point during that melody does it play 5 straight notes in a row that are the same as the melody to the song that you clearly already know that I'm infringing upon, or am I? But yeah, realistically, if I wrote a song that went like that and it somehow became popular and the legal team from the estate of Leonard Cohen heard it, you can probably put your money on that I'm going to get sued into oblivion. Although, that being said, there's a whole industry. There's an entire industry based on writing convincing fakes of popular songs for commercial beds, TV show background music, elevator music, stuff like that. There are whole industries and courses you can take on how to become good at writing songs that are just barely not illegal. And is that ethical? Honestly, no, not really. You're basically trying as hard as you can to trick the listener into thinking you're hearing one song when in reality you're not. My 2 cents on this issue is the way copyright law should work, and the way it's intended to work, is if you take inspiration from somewhere, which you will. I've written 2 songs that use that 1-5-6-4 chord progression because it works and it sounds good. You're going to take inspiration from somewhere, but if you can take those old ideas, I don't even just mean literally in terms of the lyrics, but if you can turn that into a new idea that has its own merit, then more power to you. I'm going to talk about 2 semi-recent copyright lawsuits that got a lot of worldwide attention. A lot of you will know when Robin Thicke put out the song Blurred Lines. Eventually the estate of Marvin Gaye sued him because they determined that the song was too similar to the Marvin Gaye song. Got to give it up. I'm not going to attempt to play either of those songs here, partially because they're complicated songs and partially because I don't want to be guilty of copyright infringement on a video about that very subject matter. That would be a bit hypocritical of me, so I'm going to include links to both of those songs in the description so you can check them out for yourself. There's no denying that those two songs share a very similar chord progression, pretty much a very similar bass line as well, and the songs they're presented in a very similar vibe. But, you know, the melody's not the same. Robin Thicke has used his own melody line, and just for my money, it feels like he has taken that song, he or his team of writers, I'm not quite sure who wrote the song, they've created their own uniquely valuable piece of art based on the previous Marvin Gaye work. Now, I'm not saying Blurred Lines is one of my favorite songs in the world, it's not, but I was firmly expecting them to lose their copyright infringement case. They did not, and Robin Thicke and his legal team, or whoever was responsible, was forced to pay the estate of Marvin Gaye roughly $75 million in damages. Then, a couple years ago, another copyright case came into play between the famous rock band Led Zeppelin and another band called Spirit. Now, Spirit had a song called Taurus that when you listen to it, it's pretty immediately clear that the beginning guitar line to that song is very similar to the later released Stairway to Heaven. They both use pretty similar stepping down chord progression and a very similar arpeggiation to the intros. And again, I'll include those songs in the description as well. Led Zeppelin was determined not to be guilty of copyright infringement for what they did to adapt that song. And I know what you might be thinking out there. Led Zeppelin probably hadn't even heard of Spirit or the song Taurus. You know, it's probably just a random chance. But Led Zeppelin had just toured with Spirit the year before. They'd just been on tour. I believe Led Zeppelin or some of its members had covered one of their songs in the past. Not that song. But it's reasonably plausible. In fact, I would say pretty likely that when Stairway to Heaven was written, they were sort of channeling, you know, the Spirit guitar line a little bit. I will say there is some influence there. I'm not arguing that they should have been found guilty of copyright infringement, but to be frank with you all, I just don't understand how the Marvin Gaye lawsuit and the Spirit lawsuit produced different results. They're both songs that were very likely influenced by the original, but took the song to new levels. I don't understand how... You see, if Blurred Lines is plagiarism, then Stairway to Heaven is plagiarism, in my book. And if Blurred Lines is not plagiarism, which is kind of how I lean, then in that case, I would agree with the result of the Spirit lawsuit that Led Zeppelin was not guilty of copyright infringement. But the fact that those two lawsuits produced different results, and that there have been a web of complicated legal wranglings with various songs that may or may not have been copyright infringement. There's a whole Wikipedia article on it, which I will also link in the description, listing a great deal of failed lawsuits relating to music copyright and successful lawsuits related to music copyright. And I'm a little bit scared to say that the answer to when does your song qualify as plagiarism may just come down to how good is your legal team. You know, if I'm sued tomorrow by the Beatles, I don't think I'm going to win. I also can rest assured in the fact that I am not a good enough songwriter to ever be compared to the Beatles, so I don't think that that's an issue that's going to come up for me, but I don't know. It's one of those issues where, do I think it's being handled correctly? No. Do I have a better idea on how to do it right? Also, no. It's just too complicated of an issue. Now, if you are watching this video and thinking, wow, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, he's wrong here and here and here, please, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know why I'm dumb. Let me know which thoughts in this video are flawed, maybe which ones have some merit. I'd love to start a discussion with you all. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the description for links to where you can find my own music, where it's sold or streamed online. I try to release a vlog most days. We'll see. My next one will be sometime in the next couple days. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll catch you again with a new episode of this vlog real soon.